A few quick notes before we begin. It's sometimes a good idea to factory restore or format your system before you begin, to help avoid any possible issues and to possibly free up space. Factory restoring will remove all data including the current PSN account, but just formatting will remove all data and leave the current PSN account on the system. This jailbreak method should work with firmware 3.65 and over, but if for some reason you're having issues, it may be a good idea to update to the latest version by selecting Update in the Settings app bubble. Factory Restore. This step is optional. To remove any previous user information without the PSN password, you will need to factory restore the system. Power off the console first, then hold the right bumper. Hold the PS button, then hold the power button for a few seconds. It may take a few attempts. Now select option 4, select Restore this system, then format the memory card if applicable. Possible PSN login issues you may encounter. If you prefer not to use your primary PSN account, you can use a phone or computer to create a new email address and PSN account instead. If you're having login issues, then the first step is to make sure your system is on the latest firmware version. You then may need to generate a code. On your phone or PC, go to this website address, then log in using your usual PSN account details. Select Generate New Password. Now log in on your device, but use this generated code as the password instead of your personally chosen password. Hopefully your system is charged or connected to a charger. Your Wi-Fi is set up and you're now ready to start. You may want to set up an SD card, but we don't need that just yet, so put it away for the moment. Before we begin, we just need to check something first. Open the Settings app and go to System. Then to System Information. Here you can see your current software version, and also check to see if you have any Sony storage. If you have a PHAT Vita with no memory like this example, keep watching. If your Vita shows a capacity value, you can skip this video to the timestamp shown. If you don't have any Sony storage, you will just see a minus symbol, and we will need to do an extra step. You should only be watching from this point if you have no storage, or have chosen to remove the memory card from your PHAT Vita. Otherwise, you need to skip forward to the timestamp shown. Close the Settings app and open the browser. Type in the website address, jailbreak.psp2.dev, then press enter to load the jailbreak page. Once the page opens, press the Unlock My Vita button in the middle of the screen. Then press the Unlock button in the bottom corner. If you get an error message or the system crashed, just reboot and try again, as this is fairly normal. Otherwise, you should now see the main hen-lo bootstrap menu. First, select the option Replace Near with VitaDeploy, then press square on the warning message. Your system should now download the required files and reboot. Now that your system has rebooted, open the browser again and go to the same website, and select Unlock again just like you did before. This time select Install hen-lo. Then when it's finished, you can select Exit. Open the Settings bubble and go to hen-lo Settings. Make sure the boxes are ticked for PSN and version spoofing and unsafe homebrew. Then check the spoof version is set to the latest version. At the time of this video, the latest is 3.74, but this may change in the future. You should now see that the near app has been temporarily replaced with VitaDeploy. Open the VDEP bubble to continue. Go down to Miscellaneous and select it. Now choose the option that says Create an internal memory card. Continue by selecting I understand. Now choose the option on the list that says Default for 2xx storage. This will create the 1 GB partition just like you see on a Slim Vita. Press any button when asked and your system will reboot. After the reboot, open the Settings app again and check the System Information page. If you don't see the 1 GB storage, go back to Settings, select Format, then format the 1 GB storage. If you have just followed this guide to create the needed storage partition, then some of this next process will look familiar. You will still need to follow the guide to complete the process. If you have skipped to this part of the video because you have checked the System Information page and confirmed that you either have an internal 1 GB of storage or a Sony memory card in your device, then we can continue. Close the Settings app and open the browser. Type in the website address, jailbreak.psp2.dev, then press Enter to load the jailbreak page. Once the page opens, press the Unlock My Vita button in the middle of the screen. Then press the Unlock button in the bottom corner. If you get an error message or the system crashed, just reboot and try again, as this is fairly normal. Otherwise, you should now see the main hen-lo bootstrap menu. First, select the Install Henkaku option. Next, select Install VitaDeploy. Now that that's done, you can now select Exit. Open the Settings bubble and go to Henkaku Settings. Make sure the boxes are ticked for PSN and version spoofing and unsafe homebrew. Then check the spoof version is set to the latest version. At the time of this video, the latest is 3.74, but this may change in the future. If you watch the first part of the video to unlock the 1 GB storage, you will notice you now have VDEP and VitaDeploy. Open the VitaDeploy app. Select where it says Install a different OS. Now select Quick 3.65 Install. Just wait a moment while it downloads the necessary files. Once the app starts, press X to confirm you want to downgrade the system firmware. Then press X again to accept any risks involved. As long as you have charge in your battery and you don't interrupt the process, you shouldn't have any issues. Just be patient while the 3.65 firmware installs. Once it's completed, your system will reboot and will automatically be in a jailbroken state. This means you will be able to install and run homebrew applications and much more. Open the Settings app and go to System. then the system information. You should now see that we have successfully downgraded to 3.65 Enso. Go back and select the option Auto Start Settings. Make sure to remove the tick from the Download Update tick box. Close Settings and open VitaDeploy. From here we can download and set up some useful applications. Go to the option that says App Downloader. Select the following apps by checking the boxes: VitaShow, VitaDB, iTLS Installer, Adrenaline, PKGj, and finally the Custom Themes Manager. Go back to the top and press Download selected apps. This will take a while to download the homebrew applications and install them. Once they have all downloaded, you can close the app and you should now see the 6 new bubbles installed. The app called Adrenaline is used to emulate a modded PSP. You can use this to run PSP and PS1 games in homebrew. Before it will work properly, we will need to first install the firmware for it. Launch Adrenaline and you should see a message saying to press X to download the 661 firmware. If you don't see this message, or see a message saying it cannot find the file, then close Adrenaline, reboot the Vita, and load Adrenaline again. Once the file has downloaded, close and relaunch Adrenaline. Press X to install the firmware files. This part doesn't usually take too long, and when it's done, press X to continue. The system should now boot up looking like a PSP. Go through the few setup pages, then close Adrenaline. Next, we will set up PKGj. This app helps you to download PS1, PSP, and Vita games. Launch the app and then press triangle to open the side menu. Now select Refresh. Press triangle again and select Show PSP Games. We are going to quickly grab a game to use as an example, so select a small download such as 5-in-1 Solitaire Mini. Once it's downloaded, close the app and we will deal with that game later. You may have noticed that no new bubble is showing. This is because PSP and PS1 games only show an Adrenaline unless you create a shortcut bubble. This time we want to launch iTLS Enso. We can use this app to install several missing items that the system sometimes needs, especially for some older websites and apps, and to help if you ever wanted to log into PSN. Choose the first option to install the full package. Once it's installed, your system will reboot. There won't be any additional bubbles added, as this has installed several internal files. You can now delete the installer as we no longer need it. VitaShow is a very handy file manager application. Open it now for the next step. Hold the left direction on the D-pad and press circle at the same time. This will open the QR scan. Scan the QR code shown on the screen now. If you see a message asking to open a URL, cancel it and try again. This may take several tries, but you are looking for the download and install message. When you see this message, press X to start the process. Press X to continue. Close down VitaShell and you will see that we have just installed the Adrenaline Bubble Manager. When you run it for the first time, it will make some changes and reboot. Reload the Bubble Manager. Remember that game we downloaded? You can see it here on the list. Before we make a bubble, press the Start button to open the Settings menu. Change the bubble ID from PSPEMU to Game ID instead. Press Start to save this setting. Press X on the game and give it a name when asked. Now close the Bubble Manager and you will see a bubble for your PSP game. This bubble is only a shortcut to the game, so remember, if you delete the bubble, the game will still exist in Adrenaline. You can delete the game through the Adrenaline PSP menu. Now for the VitaDB app. This is a useful homebrew browser and installer. When you first open the app, you will see a message about a runtime shader. Just press OK to continue. This will then start a chain of events which consists of installing and updating the runtime, installing Sharkfood, and extracting the compiler. You will be asked about installing a plugin to allow your homebrew apps to look for updates automatically. Choose whichever option you prefer. I personally chose No. The database will then update and show you a list of various homebrew. You can now close the app. Sharkfood tab and the Package Installer tab. You can also delete the Sharkfood app, as this is no longer needed. If you have followed everything up to this point, then you should currently have a jailbroken system running 3.65 Enso. You also have VitaDeploy, VitaShell, Adrenaline and the Bubble Manager, Custom Themes Manager, VitaDB and PKGj. These are currently all on the Sony memory. There are several ways to set up an SD card, but they all use one of two storage plugin managers, YAMT or Storage MGR. Even though the YAMT plugin is included with VitaDeploy, it's not always compatible or reliable with all SD cards. So this guide will be using the Storage MGR plugin. This method uses the Homebrew app UXO to SD clone tool. This can be installed either using VitaDB or manually using the link in the description, or even the QR code method previously shown. We need to begin by opening VitaDeploy. Select the miscellaneous option. Then select Format a Storage Device. If you haven't already, insert the SD card into the system. If you see a restart or format message, just select No. The target should already be set as SD2Vita, but if you have the internal 3G adapter, you can change this to PSV-SD. Most users will have the SD2Vita adapter. The file system should already be set as TextFAT. Press Format Target Storage. Hopefully after a few seconds you will see the formatted message. If yours fails, then reboot and try again. If it fails a second time, try formatting the card in another device first, like a phone or computer. Then try the Vita format again. If it still fails, then there is a possibility your card is fake. How to spot a fake SD? There are quite a few fake cards around, but these can usually be identified when you format them. Genuine cards have a maximum valid formatted value. Anything over this value is a 100% sign that it's fake. The genuine capacities for the most common cards is shown here. Once you have successfully formatted the SD with the VitaDeploy format option, reboot your system. Open VitaDB and wait for the database to update. Now select the search box. Type in SD clone and press enter. Select the UXO to SD clone tool and install it. Once it has installed, you can close the VitaDB app. If your SD card was successfully formatted, open the clone tool. Press X to continue. Now press X again if you are using an SD2Vita card, or circle if you have the internal 3G adapter. Press X again and your system will reboot. Open the clone tool again to continue the process. Press X to continue. This will now copy all the current data from the Sony storage onto the SD card. Once it's completed, it will assign your SD as the primary UXO partition. Press X again and your system will once again reboot. At first, it looks like nothing has changed. But if you open Setting, go to System, System Information, you should see that you are now using the SD storage. The Custom Themes Manager can be used to download, install, and remove custom Vita themes. Even though the app shows you which buttons to use and is fairly simple to understand, just remember to make sure that you unset a theme before deleting it to avoid any issues. If you find that your themes disappear when you reboot, then follow this quick fix. Open Vita's shell. Go to the partition TMO. Now go to the folder npdrm. Press triangle, select New, then New File. Name this file .dat. Now reboot and try setting your theme again. This should have fixed the issue. Auto Plugin 2 is a homebrew application that is used to easily install and remove system plugins, such as various tweaks and features. Before installing and removing plugins, it is recommended that you do some research first and find out what the plugin actually does. Otherwise, you could risk breaking your system. You can use the QR method to install the app with this code. Don't forget, it may take quite a few tries to see the install message. Additional notes. If you prefer to add PSP and PS1 games for Adrenaline manually, Then you need to make sure that you are using the correct file format and you are placing the files in the correct location on the memory card. PSP games must be in ISO format and placed in the location shown here. PS1 games must be in eboot.pbp file and placed in the location shown. Eboot files are usually already in a folder correctly named with the game ID.